So, in our previous class, started with I've talked about pandas, and we've seen how we can use pandas, and I try to use them in various ways. And also, we've tried to work with Numpy. Also, we've seen the endless opportunity that is in the use of both pandas and Numpy. But in today's class, I will be talking more or explaining more on how you can use Matplotlib, because these are like certain criteria, especially as a data analyst. When you are applying for a job, you must be able to demonstrate them, that you can use them in doing data analysis, doing data cleaning, doing data visualization. So today's class, I will explain majorly on Matplotlib and add some NumPy functionality. And if I'm able to finish this very fast, I'm going to start a project. So because I want Python class to end this week, so that I can start with SQL and probably work us through Power BI also. Then we can set up another project that will be like a capstone project for our full cohort. So then we'll be planning for our graduation. So Matplotlib is a low-level graph plotting library. So basically, the functions of Matplotlib is to uh, to just make some beautiful visualization, some insightful visualization about our data. Just like how we can use pandas to work with uh, tabular data, and then we can use NumPy to work with numeric uh, data and arithmetic operations uh, in our data, just like all these ND array, working with arrays. That's the one of the uses of NumPy. Then when it comes to tabular, or maybe like doing some analysis on our data, we use pandas. But when it comes to Matplotlib, is basically focus on visualization. So how you can make some all these bar charts, line charts, any kind of chart you can imagine of, or any kind of chart you can use your Microsoft Excel or spreadsheet to make. This can also do that. Python can also do that with the help of Matplotlib. And Matplotlib also works as Seaborn, because you might have heard about Seaborn also. So Seaborn, although we have, I think the most common one is just Matplotlib and Seaborn, because we have Plotlib, we have Plotly, we have what else? Especially when it comes to sentiment analysis, I think we have what is the names of this visualization? I've actually forgotten, but a word cloud. We use word cloud to also do some basic, especially when you are analyzing text, when you are not making visualization of number, because Matplotlib will work well with numbers. But when it comes to text, you want to make some visualization of text. We use word cloud. Then there is Plotly, there is Seaborn. There are a lot of them, but the most common ones are Matplotlib and Seaborn. And once you know Matplotlib, it's just like the same as Seaborn. So the if you are not using Anaconda, or you are not using Jupyter Notebooks or Spider from Anaconda, and you want to use these libraries for visualization, so the way you can use it is by trying to install it. So once you install it, you'll be able to use it. But if you did not install it, there will not be ways to use it. So how can you install it? You use it by pip install matplotlib. Just like the way we explain, it's just like the same procedure for every libraries you want to be using in Python. So you use pip install the particular library, or you probably use conda. So two of them are Python library, Python package for installation. So then the first thing you're going to do after that is being done is by importing the libraries. So now we are working with Matplotlib. So before I can use it, I have to import it so that I'm going to have it in my environment. So let me use restart and clear all output so that we can start afresh. So now I have to run this. So running this now, it has already imported the Matplotlib, the libraries I want to use. And don't forget that import must be the first thing, and this import must not start with capital letter, because if, just like now, if I use capital letter, you see that the color of this import change, if you notice that. And if I use small letter, it comes to. So if I use capital letter here, it will not work. So let's follow those syntax, because if you did not follow the syntax, you would error messages at your disposal. So after that, it's good to always check the versions of your Matplotlib, because at times you may be working with a version that is outdated, and there's some, just like me, something happens to me one day. I attended a boot camp where, just like a female boot camp, or is it women in text or something, so just something like that. So they were doing a, like, they make the boot camp to be like a project focus, and they were walking us through different kind of projects. So I just felt like, okay, this is what they've done. They gave out the source code after the class, and I actually want to implement what they've done. So I was just trying to do something, and I noticed that what I'm doing is not working on my laptop, and it's not working in my own Jupyter notebook. And I tried to check the code, see maybe I've made a mistake, and I discovered that this code is still the same. So what is now happening? Later I detected that the libraries I'm using is outdated. So what they are using with that particular library and is working, if I did not upgrade my own library, it's not going to work with it. So what I'm just saying in essence is that it's good to check the versions of your library to know if it is outdated or is still a current version, or it may not really be a current version at time, but just check it that the version is not too bad, so that when you are trying something, it will not be like what you are trying is not working with the library, especially latest development. So now anytime you want to use it, you will use pyplot with it. Most of the matplotlib utilize lies under the pyplot pyplot submodules, and are usually imported under the plt alias. So, and you can see that matplotlib is kind of long. That's why it's always good to use this alias, just like plt, the way we use pandas as pd or numpy as np. So instead of you referring to matplotlibs again, you just have to call that plt, and it's going to give you the, just like what the matplotlib is doing. So then this pyplot is actually important. Anytime you are importing matplotlib, you have to put dot pyplot, because if you don't put it, it will not give you what you want. So now the pyplot package can be referenced as. So now the plt will be a reference to the libraries that we are working with. So draw, this is just like me trying it, and you can see here that import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, then import numpy as np. Now I'm bringing numpy inside matplotlib. So working, because these things, they actually work in hand most of the time. So especially when you are working on a complete project, you see pandas, you see numpy, you see Matplotlib, you even see some that they are not mentioned here. So as you learn, as you grow, you see the usefulness of them. So if I run this now, you see that we use the Matplotlib for the visualization, but we use the numpy to generate the numbers, which is np.array 0 to 6. This is just like generating an array of 0 to 6, then generating an array of 0 to 250. So we can see it here on the x and y axis. You can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can see also here 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. So we also working with plotting x and y, just like something like that, and try to change some figures here. So here we have 3 to 10, and we have 1 to 8. So you can enlarge it, you can make it shorter, you can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. So this here np_array 18 is just like the same procedure here. So it follow the same syntax, and you can see it here what it gave us, the chart. So you can add a marker if you don't want it to just be like complete line, or you can use a marker to indicate some significant plots, just like just for you, just like now we can see here there is a marker here, there is a marker here, there is a marker here. So here it can easily be traced to probably here to know the the length at the y-axis and the x-axis. So and this marker can be changed. This is just like 0, this is just like O. I can put dot dot. If I do this, let's see what will happen. Okay, it does not take 2, I think it only take 1. So you can see it here, and this does not okay, let me just leave it with that. So that's just like markers here. So in case you want to add markers to your visualization, but don't forget that we use numpy for generating just numpy array for generating the numbers, and the Matplotlib for the visualization. So here I can also use the line style, which is dotted. You see the outcome and you see the output of that. So I'm waiting for it to load. You can see here that this is just like a line, and we can see dot here, and this one is just the line style here is just dotted. So you can just do anything you like. So following this syntax, y point equals to np array, then you give the numbers you want, then plt the plot y point and line style equals to dotted, and you see that the dotted is inside a quotation, not just there. So let's take note of that. And now we are getting bigger, and we are just like we are learning it in process. Here you will notice that here we are not adding the x labels and y label. We don't even put the titles of what we are doing. But if we come to here, I'm adding plt.x label and plt.y label, which is the x label. The label of the x-axis is average pause, and the label of the y-axis is calorie burnage. So if I run this, you will see now that our chart is making beginning to make sense. We have calorie burnage in our y-axis, and and we have average pause here. So now what we are left with is our title, in which we've not yet added. So if I run this, then you can see here that just like it's just like gradual process. Here I added, after adding the X labels and Y label, I try to add the title to it. So if I run this now, so we can see here now that our chart already has a title, which is sport watch data, and we have calorie burnage, then we have average pause. So this is how you go about putting a title, putting X label, which is X, the label of X axis, and the label of Y axis. So these are just like uh, more advanced. Try to change the color of your title. If you want to change the color, you see that by default the color here is black, and the color here also is black. So now we are changing this to blue, and changing this to just like something. What color is this is this not is this not pink? So oh, somebody wants to. Okay, red. Thank you. So changing this color to this, if you want your chart to be more fancy, probably you want it, you can design it any way you like it. That's one thing, that's why I love Python so much. If you are doing it, you can always, although I think in other tools too you can do all these things, but I think with Python it's more flexible. So you just need to know what you want to do. So now this is the array of the numbers of the Y and X axis, the fonts, just like the font size, the font 1 and font 2. So family equals to serif, color is blue, size, and you can see dark red. Oh, that's why I'm confused. So the color for that is dark red, and these are just like the size, which is 20 and 15. So the title, you can see here, font dick, which is font 1, and average pause, this font dick. So these are just like, you are just assigning the 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 font of each. And don't forget that these are just like parameters, especially this font dicks. If the name you use here is not font dick and you use another thing, it may not give you what you are expecting. So is like, they are just like a template to probably when you want to work on something related, and what you are working on may not really be related to it. So once it's related, you just have to follow this particular order. So then adding legend to the plot, we all know legend. So if even if you don't know, once I run this now, you will see. So once I run it, it's going to. So what legend does, legend is just all this line that is crossing each other. So you see that here is just completely plain, there's nothing crossing here. So when once it's here, you see that, you notice, probably this can make it more easier for you to trace. You can see here that this line can easily trace to here, which is 320. At times you may want to locate a particular point on your graph or on your chart. So this may be helpful at times. So if you want legend to be, so just like here, plt.grid, and so adding legend to your chart, you use plt.grid, and you can see it, you can see the effect here. So you can customize your, you can actually customize your legend. You can see here that this has a horizontal and vertical line, and here I make it only vertical instead of both vertical and horizontal. You can actually customize it by using axis is equals to, so plt.grid, this grid give your chart legend. So if you set axis equals to x, so it's going to make it vertical, and you can see it here. So you can also make it only horizontal by using axis equals to y. So this is just like you playing around your data. Anything you want it to happen, you will see now that it has changed to just something like this, just horizontal. Just because I've changed it to y, you will see this is just like, and is this what change it? Plt.grid axis equals to y. That's what change that to be this. So let me run this cell and see what is here. So now what I did here is by changing the colors of the legend. So I changed that, and also use the line style of just this, the Ivan and Ivan, and you see it clearly that this legend has changed to just normal Ivan Ivan. So it can be one and it can be two, and the line width is 0.5, and the color is green. So I can change the color to be red, I can change the, you can change the color to be white, so you can change the color to be anything. So this is just like you playing around with the functionality. So you can make your data beautiful. You can also do some subplots. You can plot sub, you can have subplots, that is have different short plots. So let me just, you will see here that instead of having one, so we have two. We call it subplot in using Matplotlib. So these are just like subplots instead of a single plot, and you can see them. And this just the functionality that give us that. After doing for x equals to np dot array, then y equals to array, so this just like to generate your length, your x and y, and using plt dot subplot 1 2, then plt dot plot, so subplot make it to be in 2, and this for plot 2, so this for plot 1 and this for plot 2, and you can see the two of them here clearly. So also the use of subplot continue. So you will notice that here from the first one, this is just like horizontal way in each, like side by side. You can also make it just this horizontal, okay, I think this vertical in side, like doing it, making the plot side by side in a vertical way. So here is in horizontal. So you can do and undo, and this just like the source code for doing that. Especially when you are trying, you are not meant to memorize. You see that I am doing it. I'm not memorizing anything. So you just have to have it somewhere, then try to check. And as time goes on, once you use some of them consistently, it will be part and part of you. So I think I'm almost done using Matplotlib. I'm just showing the endless possibility that you can use it for. Then I will quickly start a project where I'm going to work with a data and implement everything. I'm still waiting for this to show. Okay, you can see now that in this particular cell, I'm trying to make a subplot of maybe like up to like 4 charts using this source code, and you can see the output here. There is even up to 6. So you can do something like this. Probably, especially, I think I've done something like this when I was working on a machine learning project where you have to check the features, the just like is it correlation between each features to know the kind of features that are very important while fitting your model or building your model. So they are important, and in analysis too it can be helpful. It will subplot will help you to have a numbers of charts in just like a short time, and you'll be able to see what is going on. You will see here that there is a up and down, maybe like flow of charts here, and you can see that there is a continuous progress here. You see this also up and down, continuous up and down, so it's easy for you to visualize so many things in just like a short space or a short time. So also you can do a scatter plot with your Python Matplotlib. So how can you do a scatter plot? We already familiar with the array, how we generate for x and y. You just use plt dot scatter. So dot scatter will generate a scatter plot for you, and you can see instead of we are seeing a scatter plot. So you will notice something here, that the first one is just like we are working with just like a single color. So here it may be difficult for you to know the difference between, especially if you are working with two particular data, try to check the growth of each and every one of them. But here we are using two different scatter plots using this source code. You see, just like making a visualization, probably a sales of 2 days, you are making a visualization of sales of 2 days, day one and day two. So using this particular scatter plot will help you to, and in there is something we call regression analysis using especially some analysts use it in their analysis also, and but it's most common in data science and machine learning. We call that aspect regression analysis, just like under supervised learning algorithm. So scatter plot is mostly used just to check the correlation of two particular data sets, so two particular features. So when you use that part, and the way we do it is especially when you want to predict probably a price of a price of home, or based on locations and the like. There's a way you put them that you use scatter plots, and we try to use a predictive modeling using a line that will grow in between them to see if the two has a correlation, or probably taking the whole data set, like the price for maybe like past 10 years, and you are trying to predict another past another coming 10 years, or another upcoming 5 years. So there's a way we do it that when you the prediction will be the line in between, so it's going to show the correlation of that last year, that those previous years and the coming year. So you'll be able to visualize the two and check the correlation, that are they really growing together. So scatter plot is very 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 important, very important, and here showing the two. So you can also change the color of your scatter plot. So here the color changes to this particular color, and these are just like why they change. For here color is hot pink, and color code too. So there's a way we use color code. If you want to, these are not meant to memorize, you can check them online. People that tend to work with color a lot are probably people that are learning front end. If you've learned, there's one time I learned front end like that, web design, I have to run away. So most of the time you'll be using color code, but you can actually check it online and you will definitely find them. So this just like you see that the features is getting more. Here we try to implement different colors. So I'm just trying to, although most of them are not necessary like that when you are working on something. So I'm just showing what you can do with them, so that you know the possibility. So you can also add a color map to your visualization, especially while working with scatter plots. So you will see here that you can easily know, okay, if a color shows this, and this can be a just like when we work with conditional formatting. So this color can be a gauge for a success, or for like success matrix at time. So probably if the color has green or yellow, probably there is a good success rate. And if the chart has more of red, that shows uh, the sales, or probably anything we are working on is not really making sense. So this is just like the color map for this particular chart. And you can also use a bar chart also. How can we You see that when we are working with scatter plot, we are using plt.scatter. Now I'm using plt.bar. That's what it's going to show a bar chart here. So we are trying to make visualization for A, B, C and D. So this one is A, B, and you can easily see the one that is highest, which is we have D. If this is a grade, that shows a lot of students fail, and a good numbers of students pass also. A good numbers of students will be a good numbers of students will A, but a lot of people fail the course also. So if it's in terms of grade, so this is just like where you can implement a bar chart using the, so also histogram. You can also use that by using plt.east. So if you use plt.east, it's going to generate something like this for us. I believe we all know histogram. So I believe it's making sense. And this is the last chart here. So I'm trying to so here, this is just like me working on. So plt.py y label. So this is just like, you see that you notice that this plt dot is either bar, is either bar, is either is like, depends on what exactly you want it to be. Although there are some that the syntax of you working with the data is still kind of different, but in this, the syntax for, just like probably you are working with pie chart or histogram or bar chart, it's just like follow the same procedure. Plt dot bar, plt dot east is histogram. So just does scatter if you are working with a scatter chart, scatter plot. So, and I think I will stop here before I started the project. So any questions on this, or should I just continue the class? Okay, hello, please ask your question.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. So, I want to ask, based on the Numpy, right? It's all about arrays, and I think from the note here, we have up to like three-dimensional arrays that we can use. So, is it possible to use a three-dimensional array with Matplotlib?
It should be possible, although I've not tried it, but it should be possible. It's something you can give a try. And if it's not possible, we check online and it's not possible, that shows it's not possible. But it's bad if we accept that it's not possible and we've not yet tried it out. Do I answer your question?
Yes, 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 you did. Thank you.
You're welcome. So any questions from other people, or should we just move on?
Mr. Byron, good evening, sir. My own question is that I'm on the way, way working, but I hope you can hear what I'm saying.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. What is the difference between PyLab and PyPlot? And also, is it necessary that whenever I wanted to import PyPlot to be imported with NumPy, is it necessary or is it compulsory?
Okay. You talked about, is it the same PyLab, or I think I had PyLab. I don't really get
I said,
that.
what is the difference between PyLab and PyPlot? Are they the same? Are they having the same concept? And
Okay,
secondly, that is it compulsory that whenever I wanted to use MATLAB, it will be importing it with NumPy? Is it compulsory?
okay. And let me start by answering this. anytime you want to work with Matplotlib, you need to import it, and you need to import pyplot with it, because pyplot will give you access to the module. Just like import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Plt is just like the alias, just like probably when you, instead of you repeating matplotlib.pyplot often and often, so we just use alias of as plt, just the way we work with pandas. Pandas, import pandas as pd, or import numpy as np. So anytime you are importing it, .pyplot is important, because that's what will give you access to the plot module or plot package inside Matplotlib. And anytime you want to use it, you have to import it with it. I don't know, maybe I've answered your question.
What of pilot?
Okay, pylab. I think pylab should be, is pylab a module? I'm coming. I don't just want to answer that. Pylab. I'm coming. Okay, so this is just like seeing it on my screen. Pylab is a module that provide a matplotlib like namespace by importing functions from the module, numpy and matplotlib. So pylab, what pylab does is that if you use pylab, you don't necessarily need to import numpy and matplotlib again. So pylab will serve the functions of both numpy and matplotlib. Do you get it now?
Yes, thank you. I just
Okay. So any more question before we start another thing? And probably when, I think the next class, I will always be trying that we will be having a break in between, so that it will not just be complete teaching from beginning to the end. So probably we just want to rest, so that we stay more focused, because if we are really focused on what we are learning, at least sitting for 2 hours or staying concentrated for complete 2 hours is something huge, like it's something too long. So maybe in the next class there will be a way we'll be having maybe like 10 minutes break, then we'll be coming back. So any more question before I continue? So people don't really have question. Let me continue then. So let me go back to my, okay. Oh, okay. Let me just start by explaining this, and let me make it more project based. So anytime you are working on a project, there is something they normally talks about, and I don't know, it may be something we may tend to use when we started working on projects. They call it aim grid. And what this aim grid means is just like let me I think I wrote something down, but I should have just put it in a slide. But I don't know if you've heard about aim grid before. Has anybody heard about aim grid? Aim grid. AIMGRID. Aim grid. Have we heard about it before?
Oh, I haven't.
Okay. So what aim grid just means is and at times I don't know, maybe with probably the work we are doing presently, we've come across people they called project managers. Or so these people, most of the time, there's a way they use Jira, they use to manage some projects. And the reason why aim grid is just important to us, aim grid is just like help us to know, like when you pick up a project using aim grid, you'll be able to know the purpose of the project. Just like, okay, now if we are working on a sales, be able to know the like the purpose of your analysis. Because when you want to make an analysis, you must know the purpose of what you are doing. You will not just like the way I was working with Matplotlib the other time. So I'm just making visualization without any but just the purpose of doing that is just for us to know the endless opportunity, or the sum of what this particular library is capable of. But when you are working on a project, there must be a purpose of that particular project, and that purpose can be received from why this is not working. Okay, let me just I don't know why it's not open. So the purpose of aim grid is just like to know, you'll be able to set up the purpose of your analysis. Then when you set up a purpose the purpose of your analysis, or the purpose of your project, you will be able to spot out the stakeholder, probably the sales director, the marketing team, the customer service team, the data and data analysis team, the IT team, just like people you tend to work with along the side. Then your end result, you don't forget that the first thing is the purpose. When you know the purpose, you know the stakeholder, and what is the end result that is being expected of you. So the end result, then that's kind of success criteria. So when you know your end result, then you need to work on. Once I open my this, why is this thing probably I will stop this and try to launch it again. So I'm waiting for this to load, and so that it's going to bring up not to waste our time. Let me just open this. So waiting for this to come up. Okay. Mm,